Cat TV is celebrating 30 years of community media. Help support Cat TV's next 30 years by becoming a member today. Your membership will help us continue covering meaningful, local content. Thank you for supporting your local community media station.
Good afternoon, everybody, on this beautiful day in August in Bennington, Vermont. I'm Matt Harrington with the Southwestern Vermont Chamber of Commerce, and you are watching ShiresHEALTH. We've been broadcasting for the last couple of years through the COVID pandemic, and as we've had a great relationship with our local and regional hospital, the Southwestern Vermont Medical Center, and we've reported to you just in a form of communication with the community about the pandemic, about vaccines, about relief funding, about mental health. But today we're bringing something a little bit different to you. As we build out and up this hospital that has worked so hard for us over the last couple of years and obviously through a generation or two, we have some news to bring to you about the Vision 2020, as well as next steps in both the emergency room development as well as the cancer center. And I have a great group of people. They put me with more people than I normally get, which is fun, so we can be dynamic and go back and forth as we talk with our guests today. And I want to introduce each one of them. But then we want to hear from them as well. And first, I'll start with Leslie Keefe. She's the VP of Corporate Development for the hospital, for Southwestern Vermont Medical Center. We also have with us today, some may know this as a familiar face, Mr. Dave Newell, who is the co-chair of the 2020 Vision effort. And with us, Andrew King and his wife Topsy, who are also co-chair with Dave on this somewhat new initiative, although I know you have been working on it for quite some time. So first, Leslie, maybe we start with you. Just for those that aren't familiar or may have lost track or have been busy the last couple of years, can you explain the Vision 2020, kind of a decade of transformation for us?
Yes, thank you so much, and thank you for having us, Matt. We're very happy to be here. And Matt, I want to thank you for your partnership. You've been an invaluable partner with us for many years, and we really appreciate that. So Vision 2020, a decade of transformation, started over 5 years ago. As we laid out our strategic initiatives for the future, realizing that our two critical services needed to be the top priority, and that would be the emergency department and then our regional cancer center. So we set out to raise funds to address the critical need of these two areas of our healthcare system. So the first project that is underway is the emergency department and the front entrance of our hospital, and then we'll go right into the cancer center. So I can explain a little bit more of that later. But those are the two priority projects under Vision 2020, a decade of transformation.
Great. And when did you actually start? When did you break ground on the emergency department?
Last summer. We started last summer, yes, with a ceremony. And then, the emergency department, the renovation is going very well. Most of the demolition work is complete right now. As many people know that have been to the hospital, we've rerouted traffic. And we have a temporary new entrance under the canopy, and that started this spring. And the foundation, the footings have been poured, and the first phase of steel is actually up. So if for your audience, for those who don't come to the hospital often, thank goodness, right? But if you are, you'll see the outlying portions of all the steel is up for the entryway, the connector to the Express Care and Respiratory Evaluation Center is up. And this November, we'll start to work inside. So we're very excited about that. We're making a lot of progress.
What's the timeline? And we know that can always shift with construction. But in general, when do you think most of the emergency room will be done?
The emergency is slated to be completed in 2024.
Okay.
So when we say bring in construction on the inside. As you can well imagine, I'm sure your listeners can appreciate this. When you have doing construction on a very active service, such as an emergency department that can't shut down because we're open 24/7. We aren't a regular business. What our plan is to, we're doubling the capacity of our emergency department. And I'll talk about a couple of the benefits there in a minute, but we're doubling the size. What we're going to do is we're going to open up that new portion, move our team into the new portion once it's complete, and then renovate the existing space. So the emergency department will double its capacity. We'll have increased telemedicine technology.
Leslie, let's go there, because I know you and I want to talk about kind of the modernization. Let's roll back a little bit. Before this construction, how old was the emergency department?
It was built in the 70s.
70s. So we're about 50 years into needing to build a new one.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And when you build it, talk to us a little bit about kind of the modernization of it, right? I mean, 50 years later, what would you put in an emergency department? And maybe you can share with us, with the audience, some things that you're working on.
Well, one of the things I want to point out to the audience is I'm very, very proud of, this organization. We're a very old facility, and Topsy is going to talk about that later on. But one of the things that we've done is we've kept very current with technology. So we have a very, very old facility. We have an exceptional staff and exceptional clinicians that work in substandard facilities. But technology is one thing we have kept up with. We have telemedicine technology throughout our emergency department with tele-ICU. I mean, not tele-ICU, that's upstairs, but tele-stroke, tele-ER, telepsychiatry. I mean, so it's very wired. In the new space, we're going to double the capacity of our emergency department, and we're going to expand more of the telemedicine technology connected to Dartmouth 24/7. And what I also like to point out to your viewers, Matt, is that, we have 100% board certified emergency trained physicians in our emergency department. So they work in concert with the team at Dartmouth. They're total partners because, they help support our emergency department physicians and nurses with transport and documentation. So it really is an incredible partnership. And then, of course, telestroke, which is teleneurology, we've been able to keep hundreds of patients here instead of having to transfer them out. So that's been a game changer, I will tell you. But so the other things we're going to do is we're going to all of our, if you've been in the emergency department, you know that you're separated by many times a cloth, a piece of cloth. So in the new emergency department, every room will have hand activated doors. It'll be much more private, much more, for patient experience. And then the other thing we did is we made the whole emergency department negative pressure in response to the pandemic. So it won't just be a room here and a room there. The whole department is negative pressure. And then it also connects to our Express Care and Respiratory Evaluation Center. So if someone should present to Express Care or the Respiratory Evaluation Center, they'll be brought right into the emergency room if that need is there, which will be a game changer. So those are just a few of the things that we're doing.
You mentioned COVID. What impact, if any, did COVID have even on the need for a better emergency department? Maybe it was already in the plans to. I know how you work, Leslie. You're kind of thinking decades ahead. Did it slow you down? What impact? I mean, we know, and we've been broadcasting for years now on just the heroic effort of your hospital and the region during the pandemic. What impact did that have, if any?
Yeah, good question. It had a tremendous impact. We redesigned the project. We added negative pressure throughout the whole. We built that connector to the Express Care and Respiratory Evaluation Center. We created the Respiratory Evaluation Center. We didn't have that before. So it had a tremendous impact on us. And also, of course, on the cost of the project, the cost, the cost of steel and supplies and everything across the country, but we're no different. So the project, the increase in cost was very real. And Andrew's going to talk about the goals later on, but we did have to increase our fundraising goal. And the board really stepped up, and the community has been incredibly generous. So big impact.
Okay. Well, we want to talk to Andrew about that. And, I think it's important for the audience to know that, nothing comes without a price. And I think, again, the stellar effort of the staff and the building during the last 2 to 3 years, we're going to also have to pay for it in the future. So I want to get to the others on the call, but talk to us just a minute, Leslie. You had mentioned the Cancer Center is next. When does that start for you, and what does that, in general start to look like?
Yeah, thank you. We're going for our certificate of need to the Green Mountain Care Board this fall, and we hope to start that project next spring. We were going to just expand and renovate the Cancer Center. We are now building an entirely new building in that parking lot in the back where the Cancer Center was. And the reason why we're doing that is because our architects came back with the analysis that building a new building would save time and save money. And then we'll be able to use build a connector from the radiation department, which has our linear accelerator, to the new building. And we're very excited about that. And that project is also slated to be completed the same time the emergency room around 2024. So more to come on that.
We want to pay attention to that, but we do want to head over to Andrew. Andrew, Leslie had mentioned kind of the fundraising goal. So as one of the co-chairs on this call, talk to us just a little bit about the fundraising effort and the goal you have for this campaign.
Yeah, that's a great question. So obviously, Leslie mentioned that this campaign has been going on for some time. The overall goal has been raised to $25 million, and we have raised almost $24 million to date in the quiet phase of the campaign. Now that we're going into the public phase, our goal is to raise $1 million, and our goal is to do that in just 6 months.
Okay. Audacious, but I think we all like to hear that of the 25 that you need, you already raised 24. That always sounds good to us. David, you were a part of the SVC campus kind of somewhat acquisition, and then eventually the keeping the lights on that the hospital was involved in. What excites you? What are you excited about as a co-chair with this campaign as you work with Andrew and Topsy?
Well, Andrew and Topsy are right. It is an aggressive goal to do the $1 million in 6 months, but to the credit of our outstanding hospital development staff, you get some idea how good they are, having raised almost 24 in the quiet phase. And the hospital's got great support from many leadership donors, and deservedly so. An example, of course, was SVC, as you mentioned, Matt. And the hospital heroically stepped up and purchased the campus at the end of 2020. And certainly that came in handy during the COVID testing and the vaccination regimen that we had, and it was well used for that. And the response we developed, which was Leslie's idea, a Grateful Bennington drive to help support the hospital's purchase of the campus. And in a little over a month, we're able to raise over $600,000 for that. And that universe was just the Bennington area primarily. It didn't include our friends in Manchester or the Deerfield Valley, and let you know the strong support the hospital has and how people feel about it. And I think the same will be true for this campaign going forward, realizing how important the hospital is, not only for clinical care, but for economic development and community support.
Yeah, I appreciate you bring that up, because obviously we should mention the hospital was instrumental as one of the game changers for the downtown Putnam project as well. So we know, they're continuing with that effort too, as we look at phase 2 of the Putnam block, and really, hats off to Leslie. I know you're part of the leadership team, Ray, who's on the other side of this, Tom, and the team at the hospital, because from a Chamber of Commerce perspective, we all hoped it would work when we invested in the Putnam project, and specifically you invested in the Putnam project. But just to see downtown start to transform, and I often say that hold on to your hats. This is just the beginning. I mean, we still have a phase 2 of the Putnam block, but this is just beginning to give permission for others to invest in downtown. And I hope all of you get a chance to walk downtown and just marvel at, the stellar effort you guys have done to galvanize the community behind investing in itself. Speaking of that, all of you are community members specific to Bennington. Leslie, I know you're a little bit more up in the North Shire, but at least for the other 3 that I have on here, why is modernizing the emergency room, then eventually building a new cancer center, why is that so important to our community?
Well, I would say that, as Leslie mentioned, and Andrew and Topsy too, we have outstanding clinical personnel at the hospital. The nurses are award-winning physicians. But what we do have is a facility that in some areas is 100 years old. And what we need to do is provide a facility for those very talented people to operate and to provide good care in. And that will certainly help recruiting more talented professionals to our community, which is certainly a challenge for the hospital and other businesses as well.
Great. Topsy, Dave?
I think one of the reasons that we feel so passionately about this and are behind this campaign is we want to see the hospital in the 21st century. We want to see it for future generations, but both from the front of attending to people that need it and also for attracting, as Dave just said, to be able to recruit the nurses and the doctors, that make it a place that they want to come and work and bring their families and support the community. And so any way that we can build up our community makes it better for everyone.
And I can also add that as a real estate agent and somebody who has worked with a lot of families who have relocated to the area in the last few years, I can tell you that a lot of these young families really want to have an excellent hospital facility with state-of-the-art technology. So,
sorry, we're getting a voice here. The Kendall Emergency Room will be a welcome addition, and in addition to the physical ailments, also being able to address some of the emotional health of patients coming in the door. I know that this wasn't around 30 years ago that this was such a problem, but we're seeing it now, and so any way that an emergency department can address not just the patient, but also the family needs. And this is particularly true, well, I guess in all cases of everyone from the person who needs the treatment to those that are supporting them. It's new and it can be traumatic. And so anything that the hospital facilities can do to make this an easier experience benefits everyone.
Yeah.
And this campaign is going to see that. Yeah.
And let me add my 2 cents there, but help me out, Leslie. I would assume that if it's getting bigger, it might even be expanding the footprint, but it may make it more conducive to more people. And what I see, and probably what Andrew sees, is that there are more people moving to Southern Vermont. Just in general, since the pandemic, they're moving out of urban centers, they're moving out of suburban centers, and they're moving up here. Now, that's not millions of people, but it's thousands of people, and it has a potential to continue to grow in the next 10 years. So talk to me, Leslie, just even about what impact that has on the current emergency department, if we were to keep it, versus we need to get ready for this migration to Southern Vermont. Is that kind of in your thought process as well, even from an expansion of footprint or, better hallways, better lighting, helping to get and facilitate people through the emergency department?
Right. No, you're so right, Matt. Did we know 5 years ago that the pandemic was going to hit? We were going to have all these people walk through the door and have more increased, traffic and people relocating to here from all over the country. No, we didn't know that, but certainly it was always in the preparation of an expanding community. And, and I'm sure this will get mentioned again, but, we built this emergency room for 12,000 patients a year. We see 25,000 patients a year through the emergency department. So it's doubled by doubling the footprint and updating everything in that emergency department and in the front entrance of the hospital is accommodating the patients that currently use the system and will allow for expansion. So, it's going to be a game changer. It's our most critical service. And it's affected everyone. Everyone is affected by the emergency department or knows someone.
And that became so apparent, during the pandemic. If you didn't know where your ER was before, and the hospital you knew during the pandemic. Dave, I want to switch gears a little bit and start with you. Talk to us a little bit from a campaign perspective, how you're getting the word out. So we know we've got $1 million left to raise of the 25 million. How have you and Andrew and Topsy started to kind of get out to the community, get out and market it?
Well, like events like this Zoom on Cat TV is a good start for that.
Yeah.
And I should point out that we welcome donations of all sizes. Whatever folks can do is great. No donation too small, as they say. And I think, Leslie, what's our threshold on the 5-year pledge amount?
5,000.
5. So if the folks are able to do that, they can pledge that over 5 years, which perhaps makes that possible for some. And otherwise, we'll be doing letters to the editor, direct mail, some advertisements on targeted cable TV, social media, of course. All of this is thanks to our very talented hospital development staff who do all of this for us, as well as some web videos. So we think all of this will give us an excellent outreach in the campaign and begin to tell the story.
Where can they go, where can they go even to give that $25, that $100 donation, Dave? Right now, if they were watching.
Well, I'll perhaps ask Leslie to back me up, but if they want to do something in the mail, they can mail it to 100 Hospital Drive and indicate that it's a donation for the campaign. I assume the website probably has available also, right, Leslie, for a donation?
Oh, yes. Yes, it's very easy. svhealthcare.org/vision 2020 brings you right to that page. And there's some wonderful video on there. You can see the project. As Dave was saying, any gift over 5,000 people can pledge over 5 years. So it's all right there. Great.
And I'm just going through any final notes, and if there's questions on Facebook, if we're still on Facebook, if you do have questions for Leslie or David or Andrew or Topsy or me, please write a comment in the comment bar. But anything else that others want to add, anything that we didn't cover that you think is just imperative? I think what I'm hearing is, we're well on our way with the emergency department. We're getting ready to kick off the cancer center. We need 25 million. We've raised 24 million, kind of silently without everybody's help in the community. And now we're really coming to the community and saying, look, we got to get across the finish line. We got $1 million to go. Could you support the hospital that supported you during the pandemic? Anything else that you want to add to this that you think the audience needs to know?
Well, that's the message, Matt. And we appreciate you spreading the word among the chamber membership and the community as well. And I really do think that we're able to do this in 6 months, which will certainly propel this project to the next level. As Leslie has mentioned, of course, we're still struggling with inflation on building materials primarily for this. We're hoping that calms down a little bit, but the project has expanded probably by 25% since the original estimate. Is that true, Leslie? Something like that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I would like to mention that our regional hospital is truly a regional hospital. We pull people from parts of New York State, we pull people from parts of Massachusetts, and we pull people from all different parts of Vermont, leading right up to almost the middle of the state. So I think it's an important opportunity for us to thank that broader community and to let them know that, as Dave said, no gift is too small. We need everybody's support to make it to the finish line here for this important cause. So thank you.
Yeah, and I would echo that, Andrew. I'm always, pleasantly surprised because I know of our partnership with the hospital. But when I'm driving over, the mountain over to the east end of Vermont, it's fun to run into a campus for the hospital. When I'm driving north, when I'm driving south, just the idea, not just are we serving at the core center, the regional people, but even in their own communities. Leslie, you've done a fantastic job with the leadership there to kind of really put a footprint in Pownell really put a footprint, you know, as you move up through the shires. So just kudos to that. And so, you know, I think to latch on to what Andrew's saying is, you know, this hospital is throughout the county. And so, you know, we are looking for support from Hoosick Falls, you know, from Williamstown, from up to Manchester and Dorset and that area. So I echo that. So yeah, I just want to reiterate, and I was just getting some notes from kind of production there. Every gift counts, right? So Dave and maybe Topsy, just help with, you know, $25, $100. That's as good. I mean, there's going to be kind of a community effort this last mile, right?
That's true. We would like to ask folks to maybe consider stretching slightly on their gift, which every campaign likes that, but whatever folks can do is most welcome. Great.
All right. Any final comments? And again, we want to thank you if you're watching online through Cat TV or through the actual television access or through Facebook. This is recorded. We will be broadcasting this a couple more times. So if you didn't catch one thing or another thing, you can always go back and watch it. We want to thank our partners, Cat TV and their production team for continuing to work with ShiresHEALTH, and of course our partnership with Southwestern Vermont Medical Center as well. But any final comments as we wrap up today?
If I can just say, Matt, thank you so much, and thank you in advance to all the community for supporting the hospital, past and present and future. I want to thank Andrew and Topsy. One bit of note, Andrew and Topsy live in the North Shire. Co-chairs with David and Carol. Thank you so much for stepping up in your leadership and your support. And I also want to let the community know we have other committee members. Danielle and Jason Doheny in Williamstown are on the committee, and also Laura and Rich Kaplan from the Deerfield Valley. So we've got just an incredible committee for this public phase, and we feel very blessed. And it all wouldn't be possible without the incredible leadership of Tom D. So Tom is a visionary. He's a friend. He is just an incredible leader, and he needs to be recognized for the work that he's done here in this region.
No doubt about that, Leslie. Right.
So,
great. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. I'll put our plug in. I'm going to try and tie it to health in some way or form. So as most people know, when the leaves start to turn and the weather gets a little bit cooler, we start to prepare for our garlic event. And so if you are watching this, be prepared. Labor Day weekend, Saturday, September 3rd. And the way I'm going to tie this together is the hospital has always been a great support to us. They are sponsors again this year. I know they even provide everything from lip balm to hand sanitizers to some unique tents and inflatables that I won't mention. You're going to have to come down and see. But if you are in the community, or if you're hearing this, you know, we need your support as well. Come on out, have a good time, or even volunteer, get a free t-shirt, get a free lunch, get to meet the rest of the community. It's a great community event. We are projected about 10,000 people in downtown Bennington for one day, which would be incredible. And make sure you get out and check out the shops as well as we do this. So with that, I'm going to sign off. Leslie, again, give us one more time. Where can people donate?
svhealthcare.org/vision2020.
Great. And I know even if you hit that website, I know there's probably a donate button in the top right-hand corner. So even if you just go to the hospital page, it'll be there as well.
Support us. Yes.
And if you're Dave Newell, you're still mailing in checks, so you can also send it where, Dave?
How about 100 Hospital Drive, Bennington, Vermont 05201?
There you go.
Vision 2020. You can stick it in the mailbox. It's amazing, and they will deliver it.
It's great. Right. Hey, look, it's all in reverse. We all like getting mail now because we don't get any.
Yeah.
Our inboxes are full.
Right.
I want to thank all of you for taking the time out on this busy Tuesday. I know you guys are working hard to raise these funds, but we so appreciate you sharing that with us today. Thank you, Leslie. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Andrew. And thank you, Topsy, for taking time out. And again, on behalf of Cat TV and Southwestern Vermont Medical Center and behalf of Southwestern Vermont Chamber of Commerce, thank you, audience, for tuning in today, and have a great day.
Yeah, thank you, Matt.
Thank you so much.
Right.
Bye.